G'day. As most boaties know, anything strange, sound or different starts setting up alarm bells. So last night I was just going to bed and I noticed the galley bilge going off, and the galley bilge never goes off. So I went down to investigate to see what was going into the galley bilge, and we had a broken connection on our sump box. So here's the repair and fix of that situation. Okay, so we've got to do a repair on our sink box, our drain box. The sink water comes in here, goes in there through a grey float switch, goes up, pumps it out over the board, and been noticing some water getting into the bilge, and that this was cracked here. Yeah, we're away out at sea at the moment, or out on a mooring, Barnes Bay. So we're going to try and do a repair. I plan to clean that and see if we can glue that back in and then put some epoxy around it. So, put my come closers on. It's going to use a bit of Melissa's nail polish remover, or acetone. Get any impurities off. Hopefully make the super glue stick a bit better. And don't glue my fingers together as usual. Okay. Dogs chasing flies. I'll put plenty on. Hold that for however long, 30 seconds. I'll mix up some araldite and put around the outside here. I'll rough that up first with some sandpaper, give it a mechanical bond. Otherwise I think to replace these are around the $300 odd mark or more. So if this works, I'll even guess this a little bit longer, it'll be good. And put a bit more super glue around the base of this before I epoxy. I might just do this a few times. Let that dry. Still not quite dry. Leave it in the sun for a bit longer, and go and find my epoxy, araldite. For anyone who hasn't seen these, paper mixing boards, so your bog or your epoxy, whatnot, mix it up on here. And when you're finished, tear off the sheet of paper, throw it away and go again. It says 100 sheets on a board. I don't think I've ever used 100 sheets. They start tearing after a while, but really good. Saves having to clean up, and you can go again straight away if you need to mix another batch. And my epoxy looks like it's seen better days. It looks like it's leaked a bit. So hopefully we can get an even amount out of it. Anyway, see if this is dry before we still not quite dry there. It's time for some new epoxy, but hopefully we can get enough out of this. Go inside and look for the scissors. Now right here, can't get any out of the other side, so I'll have to cut that plunger. Let's see if there's any in it. Oh. This is the tiniest bit. I only ended up with the tiniest bit of epoxy. Actually, put that around the top side because I reckon that's where the most strain is. Well, not the greatest. I would have been a lot happier if I had more epoxy, but the super glue seems to be, I've built up the layers of the super glue. So I might go and get that, let that dry, keep putting that whole tube on, building up the layers, and then let it dry and see if we can get the sink going. Because Melissa's trying to cook lunch and can't put anything down the sink. Alright, clean up my mess. Here's the board. Done. Go in the rubbish. Soak in the araldite because that's no good anymore. And wait and see the results. Okay, so looks like that's all worked. Glued that on. I'm not going to try and snap it off, but it's fairly strong. There shouldn't be any pressure on it. I'd say it must have been knocked or forced at some point, with the only reason for it to crack and snap. The way they work, for those who don't know, they work, your water comes down from your sink, comes in here via a grate, which I've left upstairs, that sits in there. That strains out the water. As the water fills up here, float switch turns on, and activates power to the pump. It sits there and then pumps it out and overboard. They need cleaning fairly regularly, especially this filter here, and they do block up with gunk and whatnot, a bit like an old grease trap. This was absolutely really dirty, so giving it a clean out. I think what I'll do is put the pump in first. They are designed that once they're in situ, the pump goes in and out with a rubber O-ring around there. I bought some grease down, so I'll put around that O-ring just to make it slide in a bit easier, and that might have been caught and might have been forced in a bit hard one time. That could have been what cracked it, but it shouldn't have any real pressure on it. The hose is a very flexible hose that comes out. Now the other thing that goes in there is a little rubber non-return valve, and that sits in that section there, and then this eases in and then clicks down in there like so. You've got to get that click, and then that's designed that once it's down and in there, you can take the lid off and lift that up at the back and bring the pump out, because in here will get quite clogged as well, so that needs cleaning, and we vacuum out the box with a wet and dry vacuum cleaner. So I have had that O-ring pinch before, so just a bit of grease around it, goes in at a side angle and then clicks down and forward. And I think in future I'll just make sure I hold that. So on that one, then there's another O-ring there which I'll lube up as well. Now I might have to take this one off, because I think this was a problem I had set it up before. But when I try and screw that, that's going to hit that one. So I'll lube that up. I've got the grease in my hand. And this one's just, the middle one's just a blanked off plug we made up. So we could fit the ice maker in beside it. The other one used to come out and go up. We had to get a right angle one. But now, looking at that, this one has to come off. First. Everything on a boat's always tight to get in. Okay, so that's just a blanked off plug we made up. So then this elbow can screw on. About there. This one can go back on. Bit of a nip up. And that hose on. The other thing I have to do is we had to cut the wires to get this out, because we had initially soldered them, which now we've learnt that soldering on boats is not recommended, because any salt corrodes and reacts with the flux used for the solder. So go back to crimp fittings. So we'll match these up with the wires and put new connections on those, and then we'll go back in. new connections on, wires. That's the sieve I was talking about. It goes in there, and as the water comes through the bottom, little bits of food particles and whatnot go in there, so you can take that out and clean it, put it back in. Line the wires up with the little slots here prior to the lid going on. Make sure the lid's locked down. Right. There it is, wires go through their slots. We're lucky with this, any water that goes down there works its way down through the floor and into the bilge, so the overflow water was going down and being pumped out the bilge. But alright, so let's see if we can get that back into position. About there. One over the back, two over the back, the other one there. Oh, how water's going down my back somewhere. I'll just put one in there, I think. Okay, so one goes up to the sink. Something like that. Now this hose here that's going onto the part that we just fixed, as I said, it's a very flexible hose, so I don't understand why it cracked off. There shouldn't be any pressure on it. Tighten that one up. That one's going to get in the way. Let's come back on this side. They're very tight in here, but when everything faces the right way, we can fit our ice maker in beside all of this. Okay, so that's in place. Now, the test will be the wiring. Make sure we've got all of these around the right way and it doesn't go backwards. Brown to brown was easy, black to black was easy, grey to grey. I'm not sure. I did have a feeling it didn't matter which way they went, because it's only a switch wire. So, take all those over there out of the way. Try our pump. And nothing's happening. So I'll put some water in there.
That's coming down.
There's float switch rising. Right, so the float switch has risen and turned on, and nothing's happening. Auto, manual, nothing's happening. Okay, so the only thing that I can think then is these are around the wrong way. But I've done male and female on that end, so I've got to change those over. Okay, so working, what had happened was the original soldered connection like that on the negative wire had actually broken in bit inside the heat shrink. So we've gone just direct from that, and turn the tap on now. You'll see this float switch down there start to rise, and when that rises, to there, make sure it's turned on. It's not turned on. It will automatically pump out the water. We'll do that again. Float switch rising. That's a better view there. It goes down, and you can do it manually. So I can see some water leaking out the bottom there. Let's have a look and see where that's coming from. It's coming out of this hose, I think. Right. It might get messy if I I'll take it right off, because water will go everywhere. That'll be a charged line now. Try that again. A bit of water coming through. That's where it's coming out of, the hose. Okay, it's all tightened up. That other leak was just a that hose clamp wasn't sitting quite on the barb. That just needs to go in there. Tidy that up and get our ice maker back into position. And then that's it. So all done, all back together. Put the ice maker on and get some ice made.
Sounds good.
Okay, if you like that video and you want to see more of that sort of stuff, just leave a comment. Try and go right through the repairs. If you like the video, please like and subscribe and give us a thumbs up. Really helps everything, and share also, and catch you on the next one. Bye.